Hello, everybody. Howdy, and welcome to another adventure in history. I hope you're doing well. It's been a pretty good day. Can't complain. Got a lot of positives out of the day. Hey, Nix, how's it going? Hope you're having a good one. Um, Thanks again. You know why. Um, but yeah, we've got another adventure to do. Yeah, lots of fun history type things to look at and talk about. And the world is an interesting place during this century. Lots of chaos and upheaval and turmoil and boundaries changing and people killing each other and, pretty much like this week. Dark humor, alas. Yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well. The show's Adventures in History. And what we do here is we talk history, but we do it in a way that is not stuffy or boring, or at least I don't think it's boring. I hope that it's not boring. I try not to make it boring. I try to be engaging, right? And we try to cover world history, like the actual history of the whole world, including the stuff that doesn't usually make it into the textbooks, doesn't usually make it into the curricula of the colleges and high schools that we all visit and go to and have different levels of appreciation for. And we are in the magic 6th century, which is, of course, the year 500 to the year 600 of the Common Era. And we do things regionally. So we started over here with Japan and Korea, and we've talked about China, and we talked about Southeast Asia, and now we have India and sort of this larger Central Asian steppe here that we're going to talk about tonight. And we'll get to that in just a second. But I do hope everybody's doing okay. I had a pretty good day. I had to go to a meeting. It was on the coast, so it's it's a fair drive south from where I am located. And my college has multiple campuses, so it's one of those satellite campuses. And it was an okay meeting. It's going to be all right. It's a meeting, as any meetings go, but felt like it went pretty well. So, awesome. I drove back up and met with my travel companion, with whom I'm going to be going to Turkey in not too long, less than a month now. And we spent several hours trying to hammer out travel plans for Turkey and made quite a bit of progress. And I feel very good about where we stand on that. So, yeah. There we go. So, yeah, I guess we can kind of... KP's going to drop the lurk. Thank you, sir. I'm going to go on into talking about the stuff here. And we're going to start up here in the sort of northern part of Asia here. And just here for the view count. I appreciate that anyway. KP is actually traveling for work this weekend, so he is likely to not be as able to participate in chat for said reasons. But I do appreciate the view count. Very appreciated. And to give points to the community challenge. I feel like that thing is going to hit right about the time that I'm going to leave. What's up, Sci-Fi? Good to see you. Oh, look at these. Look at these new emotes. Well, those are great. Sci-Fi, did you make those yourself? Those are excellent emotes. Your buddy made them. Oh, cool. Your buddy should do that for... Oh, Cryptid Cafe. I think I know of that streamer. I think I might have even been in that stream before. He's made a ton of emotes. Okay, cool. Those are delightful, though. I like those a lot. And they came out very crisp and very, very clear. Hey, Tuna, what's up? Happy Friday to you as well. Um, so, cool stuff. All sorts of emotes. I might, well, I need to, if I'm going to, I'm in a weird spot, and maybe I need to just, like, maybe I need to not think about that part of the world at the moment. He said if you started streaming, he'd make your first set of emotes. Hey, that's a good deal, because that's a chunk of change. So, kudos to him for following through on that deal. Awesome sauce. Okay. What's going on in Northern Asia? Well, we have mentioned in previous streams that there is a sort of a big group of people that sat rather, right around in this area. And those people were called the Ruran. And we have talked about them many times on stream, so I don't necessarily feel like I need to completely go over all of them, but basically they were the offshoots of a group of people called the Xiongnu and had been troublesome and meddlesome in northern China for several hundred years until they ended up conquering a large chunk of territory right up here and formed an empire that was called the Ruran Khaganate. And if you're interested in that particular group of people, you can go back into the VODs and learn more about them, because we've covered them to a fair extent previously. And that is going to be sort of the precursor to where we're going to be tonight. So the Ruran were mostly horseback archer people that were going to be semi-nomadic, but the problems within them are going to begin to spiral. Oh well, there we go. Well, now we've completed that. So now I'm going to have to put that together. Yay, more work. I'm just picking. Thank you, everybody that donated. 250,000 points. You all are amazing. I appreciate all of you showing up to listen to me rattle on about things. The fact that you all have that many points to spend means that you all are faithfully watching the show, and I really cannot express how much I appreciate that properly in words. You all know that I get weird about stuff like that because you've been around for so long and you've seen me get weird about stuff like that. But I really do appreciate you all. I never expected to have a group of people so generous and interactive and interesting and cool to go hang out with, right? So it is my pleasure and my honor that you all share your time with me. And I do not take that lightly. It is something that it's a good feeling on the inside. I'll just say it like that way. We are weird too. It takes one to know one. Hey, weird is in the eye of the beholder, right? I had a whole discussion in class yesterday with students who said, that's weird. And then, because I'm that guy, we paused the class discussion and we started talking about why they thought it was weird. And what we ended up discovering was weird isn't the right word for it. What they were looking for is, I don't consider that the way that I do things. And that caused me to have a reaction that was probably disproportionate to what the actual thing was. And I think those are teachable moments when someone says, that's so weird. And then you go, well, why is it weird? And you try to help them work through things, and they start seeing stuff as different doesn't automatically equal bad. Sometimes it just means different, right? So this is the good stuff. These are the good teachable moments, and it was about the word weird. So I'm happy to be weird. Anyway, your cat is weird. She doesn't care about boxes. That might push past weird and just go straight to bizarre. That is statistically abnormal. How about that? Right? I thought cats loved boxes. I thought that was the whole point. Anyway, back on track. Back on track. Previously in this phase, we had discussed northern China sort of getting its act together and becoming fairly strong and reestablishing kingdoms in the north instead of lots of little tiny states, but actually large, powerful kingdoms with big armies, especially the one that sat right about here that went on to basically reunify China in one of our last streams. Well, that is going to have a ripple effect on all of the people that live here, and of course, all of our people that live here, including the Ruran. And this is going to be when there is some internal kerfuffling that happens inside of the Ruran nobility, and a particular clan is going to sort of break away. And this is going to be the Ashina clan of the Ruran Khaganate, or Khaganate, you can say it however you want to. Khan is their title, and a country ruled by a Khan is, I call it Khaganate, but some people say Khaganate. Or Kagan, sorry, not Khan. Khanate is the word for Khan. Kagan is the title. They're roughly interchangeable. These people have linguistic similarities across the board. That's a good description for her statistically abnormal. So the Ashina clan have been very loyal to the Ruran for quite some time. Yeah, like, God! I'll still never forget J.J. Abrams trying to lie about that. Like, no, it's not Khan in this movie. We're like, dude, it's totally freaking Khan. Oh no, it's not. I'm like, J.J. Abrams, you're not that smart. It's totally Khan. No, it isn't. And then it is Khan. And he's like, ha ha, I fooled you. I'm like, no, you didn't. You fooled literally no one. You didn't even fool your mom, right? Like, no. Like, we're not dumb. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? You can't fool us. What up, Steve? How's it going? Welcome, everybody. You came in right as I was taking a moment to sidetrack and complain about how J.J. Abrams fooled no one by claiming that Benedict Cumberbatch was not playing Khan in that Star Trek movie that came out in the most recent run. But hello, everybody from the Sketchaholics. You did draw Dis. Oh, so you decided, oh, okay. I see the changes. I appreciate the changes. For those of you that do not know Steve, which I don't know how you all wouldn't know Steve, go follow Steve Sketches. This guy is amazing. He's a crazy good artist. He is a good friend. He's wise in the Force. He would be a good Jedi. I would let him take care of my kids if I had any. I can say nice things about Steve all day long, but, you know, there we go. Hater of No Man's Sky. Yeah, I see it. There's a little bit more motion in the cape. I like that a lot. I like that. You can see that he's like, whoosh. Yeah. I dig it. You'd be a bad Jedi, the council would kick me out for calling them on their toxic... Well, see, here's the thing, Steve. I think the council were bad Jedi, too. Indoctrinating people with propaganda is still bad. It doesn't matter if it's positive propaganda or not. Anyway, please do go follow Steve. Thank you so much for that raid, Steve. And for those of you that don't know me, hello, my name is Shane. I'm a college teacher. I have a background in history and sociology and archaeology and all sorts of ologies. And we stream history here. And we have a good time and we goof off. And tonight we're talking about Asia. Specifically, we're talking tonight about this region of Asia right here. We just talked about a big group of people called the Ruran, and we're about to start talking about the people that are going to be called the Turks. And yes, those Turks. And kidnapping babies is way bad, right, Mornox? I'm with you. Also, hey, you late bloomer. Did I say hello to everybody that came in on that raid? I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did or not. Carpe diem, what up? Mornox, thank you so much for that follow. And welcome to the adventure. Metrand, how's it going? See you snuck in there right after the raid. I did not say hello, but hello. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. When is your term over, Mornox? Sorry, Metrand. When do you have no more papers to write? So, we were talking about this big empire called the Ruran, and we were talking specifically about this family that's below Asia right here. It's the Ashina clan, who were some of the nobles under the Ruran, and the leader of these particular group of people, substrate, family unit, it's kind of hard to explain, is this guy, and he's got a great name. Buman Kagan. He sounds kind of like a Jedi. Like if you said, "Oh, Master Buman Kagan is coming," and you're like, "Okay, yeah, okay, yeah." Actually having a calm weekend for once. Cheers. So you filled it with plans to keep you stressed. Yeah. Should probably, well, it never goes away, Metran. Once you get the itch and you start trying to research stuff, you'll never stop. You'll never stop. You'll find yourself at 2 a.m. watching some weird guy in the States talk about random Asian history, which is what you're doing right now. For those of you that might not be familiar with Metrand, he's a regular of the channel and is over in the European Union. So, hip hop name Boom and Q. Is that like schooly? Yeah, a Boom and Q. Now I'm trying to think of all the names of his songs. Never mind. Let's not go there. Anyway, Buman Kagan is the head of the Ashina clan, and the guy that was the emperor of the Ruran had originally been his lord, right? They had been in a vassal relationship. Buman Kagan had sworn allegiance to the leaders of the Ruran Empire until it got personal. There were some weird things that went down, and Buman Kagan got blamed for some stuff that he didn't do. And then the emperor insulted Buman Kagan and his family to his face. And Buman Kagan was like, "No, you shall not do that." And he took his people out of the country and said, "I'm going to make my own Khaganate, and I will go conquer those jerks who have insulted me and my family." Okay, do it. And this is going to happen in the 540s. So he's going to establish himself as an independent leader. This is going to cause a lot of stirring, right? We've got a split now in the Ruran Khaganate. Like, oh, there's two of them now. You've been trying to find rabbit holes on pigments, but most holes are too shallow and end too soon. Like ancient pigments, Tuna. If you ping me on a social media platform somewhere, I will. I'll look through some of the papers that I have saved. I think I've got some stuff that might be interesting for you. Just shoot me a message somewhere, and because if I say something on stream, I might not remember it until 2 weeks from now. So I have stream brain. It's a rare condition where anything that I say here can and won't be used against you in the future because I'll completely forget it. Right? So, got a new country, and this means new political wrangling. And the kingdoms that were over in China were like, oh, this is very interesting. The Ruran are being pains in our butt, but now they're having their own internal struggles. Let's see if we can make friends with this Buman Kagan guy. And so they reach out to this dude and they're like, hey, we're China. Can we help? You're causing trouble for our enemies and it seems that they've insulted you. Can we do anything? And he's like, yes, I would actually love one of your daughters. Can you send like one of the royal family daughters up to marry me? That would really solidify the fact that I'm a legitimate ruler. And they're like, royal family member? What about high nobility? And he's like, well, I mean, that would be okay, but you got like any like fourth, fifth daughter princesses? Yeah, all the, like even from a concubine? And they're like, oh, okay, if you'll take concubine daughters, we'll send you one. Emperors of China, by the way, typically have tons of children. Very few of them were typically considered legitimate, but tons of kids, right? You've got kids to spare. So Buman Kagan is going to marry into the Chinese royal family. Specifically here we're talking about the Kingdom of Northern Wei. This is the Wei. I totally slowed her for a talk concubine daughter, right? Like, I mean, not even a legitimate heir, but if it's like royal family, if I could say like her dad's the emperor, that's credentials, right? That's not a male degree. That's like I went to Harvard. I did not complete some correspondence course. This is not, you know, University of Phoenix level marriage stuff going on here. So he's going to marry into the Northern Wei, and when the Northern Wei kingdom gets basically split in half and the royals have to run away, he lends aid to his married in-law family, and he's going to send them specifically horses and tribute, which is basically just money, which if you're in the middle of a war is a nice thing to have, right? Poor University of Phoenix online, right? Right? So the Ruran are not pleased with this alliance. This is going to cause them a lot of trouble, and by 552, basically no one's going to be able to say that the Ruran Khaganate was not an independent country. They had fought off the Ruran. The Ruran are subsequently going to actually collapse. Like their entire country is just going to fall apart. And Buman Kagan's like, yes, it is now 552. I have established myself as a new powerful emperor. What shall I do next? I will promptly get very, very sick, and on my deathbed, I will decide to split my empire between my son and my brother, and then I will promptly die. And that's unfortunately what ends up happening to Buman Kagan. You become king of this giant country, and then you die. You don't even really get to...
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Metrand, thank you so much, my friend. We now officially have a Twitch baby. You get to name our Twitch baby because we have been together now for 9 months. Name it a good one. Name it a good one. Went to a cool non-course related lecture yesterday by Neil Price, one of the leading researchers in the Viking era of Sweden. You got wine. Okay, cool. And my copy of his book signed, which is pretty neat. And now I'm back to be Spartacus in another awesome stream lecture. Thanks. I appreciate that. I am not Neil Price. I am not a world-traveling, multi-million book seller kind of person. My books have sold dozens and dozens of copies. Probably hundreds, if I'm being honest. But thank you so much for that subscription. Much appreciated. It strikes me that I haven't actually shown any of the photos that I have here of the Turks. So let's look at some photos. Here is what's called a petroglyph. So basically, we carved this into a big old rock. And these are from around the same time period, the 6th century, and these are Turkish, Go-Turk depictions of themselves. So we've got the long hair, we've got very little that we can go from this because we've got sort of the non-two-dimensional shading. What we need to do is get Steve, like submit these photos to Steve and have him paint over the ancient people to fix their perspective. For example, if we are going to start drawing here, right? This person's waist is here, and this leg would have to come down like this and then down like this. And that's just not how legs work, right? And this leg is effectively straight and has no foreshortening at all, even though this particular one is closer to the camera, so it should be slightly bigger. This is just all wrong. The shoulders here, what's going on with the shoulder structure, right? The shoulders don't do this, right? This arm should be coming out from about here, not down here. What is this? Like, is his arm wrapped around behind him laying this far? No. It just doesn't work that way. Anyway, that's nobody's business but the Turks, right? Stream Baby is obviously Spartacus. After all, aren't we all? We are indeed. This is still a better drawing than me. I'm just doing what Steve would normally do. If he were critiquing a drawing, he would start drawing anatomy on top of the particular photo and explaining how all of the bones and stuff work. For example, this guy's forearm right here is way too long, but I was just trying to do a Steve impression. I think it came off okay, but clearly Steve is better at this stuff than I am. Also, check this thing out. So this is a death mask. We don't know exactly who this person was, but we can guess by the fact that it is gold and it is covered in rubies, right? That this was some very important Turkish lord. Could it have been a noble? Almost certainly was. Could it have been a Kagan? Could it have been Buman Kagan himself? I don't think so. But it's a pretty neat little relic. The mustache can be better. Well, we do also have to remember that this is about 1,500 years old. So if we can give them a little bit of slack, it's pretty clearly been beat up a little bit. But when you hammer gold out this thin, excuses. Ooh, sorry, I went backwards that way. Anyway, so there's some stuff from the Go-Turks, and this is who they are. They are called the Go-Turks. And you're like, okay, is that the same people as the Turks? It is. This particular side or branch of them is called the Go-Turks. There will be lots of Turkish groups. Lots. The Turkish people that are living in Turkey today are mostly Ottoman Turks, and they aren't even on the map at this point yet. Around this time period, you start seeing these Turks, and the question is, who are these Turks? And the answer is, well, it's kind of hard to nail down. They're pretty clearly an offshoot of some version of the Rouran, but how much of the genetic material did they share with the Rouran? Because, oh, holy crap! What? Yes, she ate. My wife just psst at me and scared the devil out of me. I'm like, what the devil did I do? And then the puppy went crazy because, it's the dog. And my wife was asking if the dog had eaten dinner, and yes, the dog ate dinner. It is probably up front begging for a treat at the moment. Anyway, sounds like a band, the Go Turks. It needs to be like somebody and the Go Turks, like Zumi and the Go Turks, or Boomin and the Go Turks. There we go, Boomin and the Go Turks. There's your band name. And this is after Boomin Q leaves his rap career to join with a larger supergroup of other very talented artists. Khan and the Go Turks. I'd listen to their band too. Maybe they kicked Khan out and they enticed Boomin to join the larger supergroup. Now we're creating entire fictional backgrounds for these bands that don't exist. But that's what we do here, right? We just goof off. Anyway, some people say that the Rouran Empire wasn't really all Rouran people. It was sort of a conglomerate of different ethnic groups, and that the fact the Ashina clan was sort of always slightly set differently inside of the Rouran Empire is an indicator that they weren't completely ethnically the same. They might have just been sort of in the larger group. That's possible. There is a debate about whether or not they have ties back to sort of the northern Iranian region, somewhere like in the sort of the Central Asian steppe regions right here. There's some evidence to support that, especially linguistically. If you look at linguistic elements of the language there might be some stuff shared here. However, that could also be explained by the fact that this region was a massive trade center and trade ran right in this region all the time, so that put them in contact with that anyway, so it's possible that some of the words got over in to the language over time. We're not 100% certain. And of course, we're talking about stuff that's way, 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 way back in history, and it's really hard to try to figure out who these groups were originally. We have to do lots of genetic testing, and it's really hard to do that conclusively, especially when the fact that these people move around so much, right? These semi-nomadic empires that they have up here, these big cognates, it's really hard to nail down exactly where people come from when they control these giant swaths of territory. And they do control a big chunk of territory, right? So if we're looking here at Northern Asia, they're going to control a group of regions that stretches all the way over here from Northern Korea, because the kingdom of Goguryeo would have sat right here. And they control all the way over here to the Black Sea coastline, right? So this is the Crimean Peninsula. This would be effectively the southeasternmost point of Ukraine, modern day country of Ukraine. And they control all of this territory. And so you can see how difficult it is to sort of figure out who exactly they might be. And it's okay for us in history to go, we're not really sure exactly what's up here. But when Boomin dies, he's going to split his empire in half, and I should have pointed that out here. If we zoom in, we see the Western Turkic Khaganate and the Eastern Turkic Khaganate. The East is going to go to his son, the West is going to go to his brother, and these people show up a lot. And we've already talked about the Turks in streams of Korea this phase. We've talked about Turks in China in this phase. We will continue to talk about Turks in the next couple of phases because they're coming into contact with lots of people. They're going to end up coming into contact with the Byzantines, with the Persians. They're going to trade a lot. They're going to finally wipe out the last little chunk of the Hephthalites, who were a Hunnic group, one of the original Hunnic groups. They're going to sort of put an end to them. And they're going to have a lot of really interesting interactions. There's a great photo of a Persian noble playing chess with some of these people. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Shane streaming on a Friday? Yeah, so last night was my 15th wedding anniversary, so we decided that we were going to go out to eat and just hang out. And I posted all that stuff in the Discord. If anybody wants to come hang out on the Discord and share history related or just general memes and goof off and ask questions and watch me ramble on Discord, you can do that too. But I have a little area that talks about coming up episodes, and I noted there that I forgot when I was doing scheduling that 21st is, I didn't forget that it was our anniversary. What I forgot was that it was on a Thursday. And so I just sort of went into Tuesday, Thursday mode, and then I was like, oh, bonehead move. I've got to stream on Friday instead, so we just pushed it back a day. But welcome, Kyle. Hope you're doing well. Hope the world is treating you all right. We're talking about the Go Turks. which are the lame knockoff of the Transformers that everybody hated on except for me. Because I love the GoBots. Don't be hating on the GoBots. There's nothing wrong with the GoBots. Anyway, if we fast forward to what's going on in the second half of the 6th century with the Go Turks, they end up getting into a bit of an internal squabble. The Western Turkic leaders, who weren't technically called Khans, they didn't get the title Kagan, they got the title Yagbu. I'm sorry, Yabgu, other way around, Yabgu. And they thought that they should be Kagans, and then there's a big fight, and it just doesn't go very well. What's eventually going to happen is that the leaders of the Western Turkic Khaganate are going to conquer the eastern side and remerge the country. But this is going to leave both parts a little bit weak, and they're going to have to start leaning on their ties with people like China a little bit more. But we will come back to the Turks in the future. This was mostly just a, who are these people? Let's put them on the map. Let's make sure that we know who they are. And as we go about in future streams, we will reference the Turks again. Now, the rest of the stream is going to be dealing with this guy. Specifically with what's going on down here in India. Let me actually change this. India. What is up with India? Well, a lot of stuff. If you have been with us on previous streams, you might remember the Gupta Empire. For those of you that weren't with us, the Gupta Empire was a very powerful empire that had put together more of India than had ever been put together before. And they controlled territory that stretched all the way up here into Central Asia, all the way over here to what is modern-day Bangladesh and Myanmar, all the way down into the central part of Turkey, this large region right here, which is called the Deccan Plateau, which had previously been very difficult to gain access to. They conquered part of this area and then allied with another group here, the Vakataka Empire, and they had a big chunk of territory. But the Huns showed up and they invaded India, and things went sideways and stuff just didn't go over too great. They had coins with abs on it, right? It took away from that stream. Yeah. The Guptas did tend to have full-figured kings on their coins, and yes, they did have abs. But it was because that's sort of, you know, the style, right? You didn't want to portray yourself as some dinky, flimsy king. You wanted to be a strong dude. Look at my 8-pack, right? But Huns come in, they wreck all of this, they throw all of this into disorder. The Huns actually get all the way over to right about here, and we'll actually talk about the people that stopped them. But with the big capital cities of this sort of northern region right here, like Madras and Pataliputra, with those cities being a big threatened territory, the Guptas are going to start dissolving. And over the course of the 5th century, they basically lose all of their territory. Now, there's going to be a little bitty chunk of them, sort of right about here, that are referred to as the later Guptas. Whether or not those people are still going to be in real control of the land that even people today kind of give them credit for is up for some question. But what happens to all the rest of the stuff? What do all these other people do? Because even back in the ancient world, India is incredibly densely populated. Their population levels, even in the ancient world, were really, really high. Now, let me be clear. The population today is astronomically higher than it was in the ancient world. But if we look at ancient India compared to other ancient countries, their population was still very high. Finally, India, after 97 streams of Outdia. We've talked about India many times. India was in phase 1. Way back in phase 1 when we started this whole thing 2 years ago plus now. We talked about the Harappan society, who were the original Indian builders over here in the Indus River Valley. Uh, really cool group of people. Really, really cool group of people. The stream has come a long way since then. I've become much better at it. I am by no means, like hashtag pro streamer or anything like that, but it's come a long way. Good to know you keep track of the important info. Yeah, the good stuff, like that guy has a funny hat. I remember his hat. What's up, Infernal? Good to see you. For everybody, if you have not already, please do go give Infernal a follow. Anne is a fellow sociologist, teacher, does all sorts of stuff on stream. Good old-fashioned variety stream. We've got, let's see, does video game stuff sometimes, does chatting stuff sometimes, does cosplay stuff sometimes, like makes clothes sometimes on stream. Pretty cool stuff. Everybody go give Infernal a follow. I think we also had Sci-Fi in the room. Do the command the right way. Thank you. Sci-Fi Tout. I still want to say the original. Sci-Fi Toast. You're working on a course lately. I saw that you were doing that yesterday, and I was like, I should go check in. But then it was like time to go eat dinner. So, Sci-Fi Toast now has been streaming lately and doing some pretty cool stuff. Specifically working on some handmade journals and doing stuff like doing bookbinding by hand and like even sewing the collections of pages together.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
Batbird. Thank you so much. You just keep changing it to mess with people. Do it. Everybody should go give the Batbird a follow. I am Batbird. I'm Batbird. Usually is doing art stuff. Also sometimes doing video game stuff. Totally a good stream to go hang out in and just goof off if you want to watch some art being done. Thank you. Much appreciated. 11 months of support. I really do appreciate that. Hope you're having a good one, too. I hope the world is treating you kindly. You've been doing a lot more traditional lately, huh? That's cool. Alrighty. So what's going on in India? Well, lots of stuff. And India fell apart, right? When the Gupta Empire collapsed, everybody was like, it's free real estate, right? Let's just go take what we can get. And there are, if we're just being honest, I can show you sort of what we're looking at. Let's look here. This is what India turns into. And it's like, look at all the peoples. All sorts of peoples. And there's like all these kingdoms and all of these kingdoms and like Makharis and Kamarupas and Kalachuris and Chalukyas. Oh my goodness, all these people. Look at all these people. We will not be going through every single one of these. I do think though, and I'll say this in the purest 5-year-old child that I can. The kingdom up here of Tanasar, or the people of the Pushyabudi, I have always giggled at this. Because it looks like push ya booty. Like, hey, push your booty. I've always giggled at that. That kingdom actually doesn't last very long. Just as a note. What up, Lumpy? Yuck, yuck. Everybody go give my friend Lumpy a follow here. Lumpy is a great streamer. Incredibly intelligent individual. One of the most mindful people that I think is on Twitch that doesn't have enough love. Go watch Lumpy do some really cool Minecraft building and get him on a tangent where he talks about anything in particular, and you'll have a good time. The cutest of all potatoes. Lumpy, I hope that you are settling in well. You can finally stream tomorrow. Awesome. I'm going to say this every time India shows up, but hey, I've been there. It's your only time to proper brag about something, so gosh darn it if I'm not. Oh, absolutely. I'm super jealous that you got to go to India. I would love to go to India. I had an offer extended to me to go to India, but it was never followed up on. Like, I was like, okay, let's go. And then they were like, now is not a good time. So I talked to some of my friends that had connections with this particular group, and specifically a professor that I know. And the professor was like, oh, they invited you over? I was like, yeah. And they seemed really excited about it. Like, they had all of these things that I could have helped them do. Specifically here, there's a college at a place called Serampore in India, and they have all of these really, really old documents that are they're not in any discernible organized fashion, and they wanted to scan them and organize them, and then they wanted to build an intranet and a web portal so that other people could look at this stuff. And I'm like, anal retentive organizing and web coding, I'm totally there. And they were like, come on, come on, come on. And I was like really, really excited about it. And then I went to, they kept asking him, like, is this a thing? Is this a thing? And then one of my professors like, yeah, they've invited me over like 7 or 8 times. They don't really mean it. They think that's the nice way to do it. And I'm like, but you went over? And he's like, yeah, I went over on my own dime and I made it happen. And I was like, I can't afford to go to India on my own dime. He's like, they don't really mean it. They're just being nice. And I appreciated them being nice because I was very excited about it for a hot minute. I've missed some chat here. I would love to go to India and the food. Yes, I love food. Yes, but oh man, the condo tasks are not abating, alas. I see now that the lady leading the syndic. I see now that the lady leading the syndic is a bit overzealous. Oh no, do you have like a homeowners association? No, I don't like those at all. You don't like Indian food, so you never go there, and it's non. That's a great one. I appreciate the devil out of that one. I was feeling bad about a negative result this week, but the client is having the issue as well. We're now 5 teams in 3 cities trying to fix this, and you have many ideas for next week. Oh, well, Lumpy, I know that anytime bad lab results come back, that sucks. Especially because it might have taken a really long time to set that stuff up, and it might have taken a really long time to actually execute the experiment, and then the results come back poorly, and then you have to sort of go back through from the beginning and figure out where things went awry. I know that that's rough because I've seen my wife do that for a large portion of our marriage, and I understand how frustrating that is. So I can't have empathy because I've never done it myself, but I extend as much sympathy as possible to you, my friend. Why wasn't there more cool things to happen in France so you could go and follow Shane around and eat baguettes? Moose, dude, if you want to go to France and you're serious about it, there are a lot of things that I'd want to go see in France, and I could be persuaded to do so if you're serious about it. Whiskey and Minecraft and Twitch friends time. Metro's like France Tramps win. Yeah, it's just right across the hop from you, right? Okay, anyway, India looks like this, and it's all spread out, and it's crazy, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to cover some of the kingdoms, but we're going to focus on the ones that are going to hang around for a little while. We're not going to cover all of those. We're going to look at the ones that are going to show up for a little bit longer than just one stretch of time. And we're going to start with a dynasty called the Varmans. The Varman dynasty, and they rule a kingdom that's called Kamarupa. France and Italy are basically the only two places you're interested in going. Um, I've been to Italy multiple times. You're thinking about moving to France. Cool. Carcassonne is high on the list. That wouldn't be a bad place to go. Rum and beer. Not together, right? Anyway, so who are those people and what is up with them? Well, they rule the break screen. They rule the break screen, apparently. They rule this kingdom. It's called Kamarupa, and it's right over here. You can see that it sits in modern-day India, a little bit in Bhutan. Well, actually, most of modern-day Bhutan, and a little bit here into Bangladesh. So check it out. There's Kamarupa, and they're going to be around for a little while. And we'll talk about them probably again. The Skaven? No, not the Skaven. You started a bad read. You also, I started to read Eris's recommendation, A Very Bad Wizard. Oh, cool. Let me know how that turns out. I've never read it before. So these groups, this group of people, the Varman dynasty, were originally part of the Gupta Empire. They had been vassals for a long time. They're going to fight a little bit of a scuffle with the Gupta Empire back in the 300s. One of the big, powerful Gupta emperors, a guy named Samudragupta, is actually going to move over and conquer them and sort of fold them completely into the empire. But by the time we get to the very late 400s, around the time that we're starting to talk about in our world, we're going to start seeing inscriptions of them. And some of their inscriptions are saying that their local kings are doing that weird horse sacrifice thing that we tend to talk about in India all the time. So in India, there is a particular sacrifice. It's called the Ashvamedha. And it's a Hindu-related sacrifice where a king gets a horse and then turns that horse loose in the kingdom. And the horse has a small detachment of soldiers that is basically an honor guard for the horse. And for the entire year, the horse just sort of wanders around in the kingdom wherever it wants to go. And everybody knows that's the king's horse. And at the end of the year, if no one has killed the horse, the king can go, look at all of the land that I control, because in all of this land, no one killed my horse. And then he gets a big group of people together and he kills the horse himself. Sorry, horse. It's part of the sacrifice. But we see inscriptions where some of these kings over in Kamarupa are doing the Ashvamedha sacrifice. So they're clearly establishing themselves as independent. And around the 500s, they're going to kind of hit their stride. So what's going on with this group? What can we say about them? Well, they're pretty much a copy-paste of the Gupta Empire. Their internal infrastructure is basically the way that the Guptas ran things. You have a really big king. They have a really strong central authority. They're going to have a lot of very specialized bureaucrats that live in pretty urban cities. The areas around the cities are mostly going to be agricultural. Their religion is mostly Hindu. We actually have some really interesting, reports. Some Chinese Buddhist missionaries go down to this area, and they say that not a follower or temple of Buddha could be found. So they're very much strong Hindus here, which is interesting to note. If you know anything about where Buddhism originated, Buddhism started, like the Buddha came from this region right around in here. So it's not too far from Southeast Asia, where there are a lot of Buddhists, including people right around in here and right around over in here. If the horse sacrifices the king, does the horse get all of the land? Nay. Horses can't rule kingdoms. There we go. There's your pun for the night. So they're a pretty cool group. They're going to start expanding. By the end of the 500s, they're going to be expanding. They're mostly going to be expanding eastward. Now, if you were with us last stream, you'll know that there are a group of city-states that are sort of in this valley right here, which is in modern-day Myanmar. And these were called the Pyu city-states, Pyu. And Kumarupa is going to sort of get up into this region and right down in here, and they're going to come into contact with these people. And we know this because we start seeing their artifacts and coins and such over here. And it's pretty natural. It's just a quick loop around the coast. There's not really a good land route that connects this part of Bangladesh to this part of Myanmar. This region is incredibly dense and very, very difficult to move through. You don't really move over land very much through here. Ask the Japanese in World War II. I don't actually know if people know about this stuff, but the Japanese actually invaded India in World War II. They had all of this territory, and they built this enormous invasion road over the mountains here to actually invade India. Really fascinating stuff. Please go into the history of Sri Lanka. Why are they so hot? They're hot because they're very close to the equator, which runs roughly here, right? We've talked in the past about why they're so attractive. I don't know if I could spend an entire stream dedicated to saying why a certain people group is particularly attractive. I think that might get a bit into the creepy phase. But we have talked about Sri Lanka before, and we'll mention them in just a bit here when we talk about the Pallavas. But in the past, we've talked about Sri Lanka before, specifically when we've referred to the groups of Tamil people that were living down here in the southernmost tip of India and Sri Lanka itself. So we have talked about them in the past. If you go back to previous India streams, you can get more information on Sri Lanka, and we'll talk about it here in just a second. So there are the Varman, and they rule the kingdom of Kamarupa. Now, moving a little bit to what I just mentioned, the kingdom of Pallava. Woo! And where are my photos? Here we go. Here they are. So we're seeing that they are down here in the south. Kanchi is their big capital city here. They're going to control a lot of this territory that is down here in the south. Now, again, nobody is going to be able to completely dislodge the different groups of Tamils that are down here, specifically the Chola, who were kind of the leading Tamil powers at this point. But, there we go. There's our map of the Pallava. Who were they? Well, there's not really a lot of consensus on exactly who these people groups are. There is a lot of evidence that they are from a lot of different ways. So in India, one of the things that is very, very difficult for historians and archaeologists and anthropologists to do is sometimes track down exactly where something started, because again, people are so closely packed together. You're going to have lots of different linguistic elements, you're going to have lots of different cultural elements, and they're all on top of each other all the time. So when we get to somebody like the Pallava, there's going to be a ton of different theories, because their language that they speak has a lot of different elements from a lot of different linguistic groups, a lot of different dialects, and ethno-linguistic identification is one of the big things that we lean on, and it's really hard to do for these people. Also, their physical culture.
Camels, horses, an armed escort,
Desert
vehicles,
and tanks. Lumpy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, my friend. I hope that's not the whiskey talking. If it is the whiskey talking, it's Friday night. You let it talk as much as it wants to. Then that's not me saying give me more bits. You just you do your thing. You enjoy yourself. So we don't know a lot about their actual origins when it comes to stuff like physical culture or linguistic culture, but what we know is they do have an independent group of people that pops up around this particular time, and they're going to have some pretty interesting things that they use to record stuff on. Yeah. What is that cheer quote from? It's from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's when the Nazis are going to get into contact with the Egyptian guy to try to get to Alexandretta, and they give him the really fancy sports car, and he tells them all of the things that he will give them, and he goes, and thanks, and the German guy thinks that he's saying thank you, and he goes, you're welcome. Obviously it started at the beginning, duh. My turkey basting travel thing. Yeah, so I'll say this because I'll say it. It got brought up. Tucky. I am traveling to Turkey. If you click that link that just popped up in the Discord, it will tell you about some sort of quasi Kickstarter-esque tiers that I'm doing. If you would like to donate, you can. If you don't want to, don't do it. I'll be fine one way or the other. I know that a lot of people were interested in doing stuff, and people are always telling me like, hey, you should let us help you do stuff. So anyway, if you want to be more involved in the travel process, there's the link. You can do it. If not, cool. I'll be talking about it on stream a little bit. But there will be special streams, and you can get pictures of the day, and you can get access to my photos and all kinds of stuff. So you can go click that link and do your thing if you want to. Anyway, the Palava Kings are going to start doing some really interesting stuff. Specifically, they're going to start making these really weird copper plates. So here are a couple of these copper plates. These are particularly, they're from a place called Damesvara. And so this is like beaten copper plates, and they record their exploits. Like, I am the great king. I have done all of these cool things. Check out all of the cool things that I have done. I woke up early this day and I decided to eat some eggs, and I had eggs for breakfast, and then I realized, oh crap, I'm actually a vegetarian and I'm not supposed to do that. So then I prayed to the gods and said, I am sorry for eating the eggs. I don't actually know what it says, by the way. Speaking of indie, you have met Julian Glover. Awesome dude. Yet another reason to be jealous of one of my stream friends. But the information that we have from the Palava Kings are going to come out sort of irregularly. These are going to be not issued every year. It'd be really cool if they were. They're sort of only going to be issued when they're having some sort of big to-do or they've done something really cool, which is better than not having any inscriptions or writing at all. I'm not trying to complain about that, but it would have been really cool if they had made a set of these every year that said, this year the king did these things. We love those as historians. Not enough people do those. If any future people that are listening here on the stream form a country in the post-apocalyptic wasteland, do future historians a favor and write down the stuff that you do. That would be great. And specifically, write it in something that is non-perishable. So get it carved into stone. Do something that's going to last. Don't just write it on a piece of paper. It won't make it. So post-apocalyptic wasteland. Do your thing on some stones, right? You're messing with future historians and archaeologists for sure. Potato combine, right? Nix is like, I will make my notes. Yes, I will. I'm taking notes for when I rule the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Awesome. Let me be your official court historian. I'll make you look really good in history. I know all of the fancy terms and the schmoozy things. I can also be a decent advisor. I can tell you probably shouldn't do that because this guy did that in like the 400s and it didn't go very well for that person. So I'd be a decent advisor. I don't eat a lot. I don't necessarily need fancy stuff. I'm not trying to be like number 2. I'll be like number 45 on the list of command. I don't even really want command. I just don't want to be eaten by the dogs or the cannibal groups, right? So that'd be great if you could find some time for little old me in your post-apocalyptic wasteland. More permanent, like your MySpace page. Right? I've heard enough about command and royalty here to know I definitely don't want it. Yeah, me too. Me too. That's how you get stabbed. You get really, really stabby. Really stabby, stab, stab, stabby. Anyway, let's talk about one of their kings, because we actually do know the names of a lot of their kings. So let's talk about King Sima Vishnu. And you're like, that guy sounds like he's a Hindu. He is a Hindu. Vishnu, yeah, it's one of those big Indian gods for Hindus. So yeah, Sima Vishnu. We actually have a photograph of this guy. Here he is. Woo! Sima Vishnu. Looks like a pretty powerful dude there, yeah? Big king with his concubines. I'm trying not to... Oop, yeah, I probably could be careful here with TOS. Just avert your eyes. So there's Sima Vishnu. He looks a bit stoned. Sima Vishnu is a pretty powerful king. He's going to start fighting. He rules from 556 to 590. He's very expansionist, and he is going to start building navies, which is something that India didn't necessarily have that frequently. We haven't really talked a lot about Indian countries with big navies. We talked about trade, but this guy, Sima Vishnu, is going to start looking over here and going, oh, I could maybe bring these people in. I could, you know, maybe beat them up or bring my power to them and beat them up and make them trade with me. And he's going to send expeditions as far away as this region right here, which is the Malaysian Peninsula, over here into what is modern-day Indonesia, the big island of Sumatra here, and as mentioned earlier, down here to Sri Lanka. And he's going to sort of start building these trans-Indian Ocean trade networks that were already moving stuff, but he's going to sort of interject himself into the fray. So instead of going all the way up and around the coastline here, he's just going to go over there himself. There we go. He looks a bit stoned, sort of powerful, is missing some sweet bracelet action. Yeah. Everybody must get stoned. I don't know about that. The ladies look about like what you're seeing tonight. Semi-topless, but not actually interesting. Oh, KP. Burn. Rock hard abs, question mark? Stony and aloof, question mark? Stony and aloof. Aloof is such a great word. Anyway, so there's the Pallava. And we'll talk about these people again as well. This is sort of what we might call a gazetteer of Indian kingdoms that we will come back to in the future. What about the Chalukya? So who are they and what up with them? Well, let's go back to our map here and we can see them. Here they are. Chalukyas. Now, I showed this map in particular because the only map that I could find later is from when they're super duper powerful and they basically control like all of this. So the Chalukyas are actually going to be really, really powerful, especially when we get to the 700s. And they're going to control basically this whole chunk of India right here. So I had to revert to a time-stamped map where they are just getting established and a little bit smaller. So here's again the Pallavas, and again here are some of our other Tamil groups, Pandyas and Cheras and Morias. Anyway, there we go. Oh, there's the Pew city-states. Check it. Pew, 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 pew. Gazetteer is a fun word. Ah, yeah, absolutely. So what's up with them? Well, again, lots of debate about who these people actually are, especially the ruling family. We don't really know very much about where they came from. We know that they were almost certainly vassals of some of the previous empires. Perhaps they were associated with the Vakataka Empire. Perhaps they were somehow involved in some of the even previous stuff before the Guptas got very powerful, like the Satavahana Empire. They were somehow noble, and they're, of course, going to have their own individual stories about how they got where they are and all that stuff. We can't trust most of that. They are always going to claim heritage that goes, 5,000 years back in history, or to the first people that ever came to India. And it's really easy to just go like, you made that up. And they're like, no, we are for real. Like, no, you made that up. I'm like, okay, yeah, we made it up. We can't necessarily trust their origin story, right? Anyway, lots of debate. They're probably Hindu, just because of the name elements that we see in a lot of their place names and their kings. They're also doing the Ashvamedha sacrifice, which not every... Wow. TC Gentry, thank you very much for that follow, and welcome to the adventure. Please feel free to participate at whatever level you feel comfortable. You think you've seen that club? I'm not aloof, I'm the opposite. Loof. We were the first people ever. Doubt that. Yeah, exactly. We sprang from the earth. Duh. By the way, I'm drinking chai tea tonight. Appropriate. Was that alert super hot for anybody else? It might be loud. I can cut it down a little bit. Yes. TT. Indeed. Like at the equator or attractive? Well timed and good callback, Kyle. Well done there. There you go. Thumbs up for that one. So what's going on with Chalukya? Well, their first big king is this. The first big king is this guy named Pulekshin. Pulekshin the First, who's going to rule from 543 to 567. He's going to be the guy that establishes them as an independent state, and he's going to do lots of building, and specifically lots of inscriptions, like this big one on a wall. So these letters here are quite large. They're probably hand height for each letter, but you can see here that there are these really, really big inscriptions that say, like, I am the greatest king ever, and I have done all of these cool things. Look at the stuff that I have built. And to be fair, dude built some pretty cool stuff. Specifically here, this temple that he carved, or that the Chalukya carved out of the wall. So really, really cool looking temple here. Carved literally out of the side of a mountain. That is so friggin' cool. There, by the way, this is at a region or a particular location that's called Badami. And at Badami, there are multiple temples of this particular quality where they just sort of found this flat rock face and just decided we're going to go at it. And we're going to carve. And you can see, like, this goes back 3 levels of columns to the back wall. Kilroy Gupta was here. Vipers, that's a great joke. I will have to be a bit of a stickler. The Guptas never got this far down. Their allies, the Vikataka, got this far down, but not the Guptas. Well, not far down on this side. Were they using these as structures a lot? This was a working temple. So this was actually a Hindu temple where there would be people moving in and out, doing sacrifices in here at a regular pace, right? Behold, the great realm of dwarf of city of the Dweredolf. Khazad-dûm. Right? It's really cool stuff. That is at a location that's called Badami. And if you Google Badami and look up other temples there, there's some really, really cool stuff going on at Badami. And this is all Chalukya stuff. And this particular temple dates from this particular time. There are multiple other temples from multiple future centuries. So the Chalukya are going to stay around for a while. And we'll come back to them again in the future. I keep saying that a lot, but again, of all of those individual little people, I'm trying to talk about the ones that are going to have what we might call staying power. Good column craftsmanship, indeed. It's just wicked cool stuff. Really, really neat, and it just blows my mind that they have that level of ingenuity. Um, really cool stuff. All right, a couple more people, and we'll be out for the night. Let me see. Come here. There we go. The Kalachuri. Who are they? Well, they are these people. You'll show it tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Maybe you could. Well, I don't know. I don't want to suggest like, hey, make a whole thing of Dragon Song based off these Indian temples. But you can do you. Yours is much more of a what we might call whimsy / Nordic inspired world. By the way, I love it. We're talking here about Lumpy's Minecraft world, which is amazing and incredibly detailed. And you can, it's like one of those things where you start zooming in and you realize, oh wait, there's more stuff to look at. Oh yes, okay, oh yeah, that's cool. And you can just keep doing that forever. Anyway, this is the early Kalachuris. You have some porous cliffside. You meant something to do. Oh well, there we go. Lumpy's Minecraft world is right. It's crazy. Crazy in a good way, not crazy in a bad way. Anyway, here's their map. Who's up with these people and what's going on with them? Well, we do know that they were once part of the larger Vakataka Empire. Specifically, they were a group of nobles that were with the Vakataka, and they might have had some indirect alliance kind of things with some of the Guptas. Now, if you were with us back when we were talking about the Guptas at their height, some of the Gupta royalty ended up marrying into the Vakataka dynasty, and then when one of the Gupta kings died, when one of the Vakataka kings died, a daughter of one of the Gupta emperors ruled basically Vakataka territory alone as her own. And it's possible, not provable, but possible that some of these Kalachuri people had some connections there. But they're definitely going to benefit from the fact that the Vakataka Empire is going to collapse and the Gupta Empire is also going to collapse. So the Kalachuris are going to be like, hey, look, everybody's falling apart. We should start our own state. And they do. And they do so effectively. They're very fiscally sound. One of the things that we get a lot of out of this region is a lot of coinage, specifically silver coinage. And they apparently had a lot of money because we see a very high volume of these coins being circulated around in the area. We know that they are going to be expansion-minded because, well, we see people that they beat up. And they're going to record exploits of their kings and some big inscriptions where, you know, we go beat you up and then we build a big inscription, or I guess carve a big inscription that says, we, the people of the so-and-sos, have beaten you up, and our king, great so-and-such, has decided to, you know, bestow his grace upon you all by not killing you. Give thanks to the gods that he did not have a bad day that day. Right? What's up, Radical? It's been a while, and you've been needing History Academia. I could suggest a few other streamers here on Twitch. I'm just picking. It's good to see you, Radical. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're talking about India right now. We talked about Central Asia a little bit earlier. We're sort of going around and talking about all of the different little kingdoms that pop up in India after the collapse of some big empires. It's been a good time. We've had a pretty good stream so far. I'm pretty pleased with the way that it's been going. How are you? Other than needing some history in your life. But it is good to see you. It's good to see you. Now, we do know a lot about their particular rulers because we have these big inscriptions. And one of their early rulers... Wrong button. That's a J. Krishna Raja. One of their early big kings is a dude named Krishna Raja. So, again, these people are going to show off their Hindu culture here. But we don't have any doubt that they were mostly Hindu. They're going to be building temples all the place that are Hindu temples. There's Hindu symbology on all of their coins. They're going to have a whole bunch of like patrons of the arts that do like Hindu sculptures and stuff like that. So we really don't have any doubt that the Kalachuris are going to be good old-fashioned Hindus. But Krishna Raja here specifically is going to start kind of styling himself a little bit as this new king, right? So Raja itself is indicative of the king title. So like, you know, if you've ever heard Maharaja, this is like great king. So he's Krishna Raja, the king that's devoted to Krishna, right? Or perhaps even Krishna is king, however it works. Yeah, we've got one of his coins here that I can show you. Bing! So here he is, and you can see here some of the pretty cool script on the back. Now you go, where is the person? You kind of have to be a little bit of a cubist. Think Picasso. So here's his hair, right here. This is his ear. Here's his eye. This is his eyebrow. Here's his nose. And these are his lips here. And this is his chin. And he's got a bit of a collar on. You're doing well since you do disability activism. You've been doing tons of stuff. Very cool. Your schedule is full of doing qualified immunity and housing crisis. Ooh, wow. That's a bunch of stuff that's going on right now. So best of luck with that. And kudos for doing the hard work out there. Cheers. That's the good stuff. Anyway, so there's Krishna Raja. What else do we know about this guy? Well, we know that he's going to kind of take some of the set dressing of the Gupta Empire. Let's remember that the Guptas are, they're gone, but everybody still remembers them, and everybody sort of remembers the Gupta as, kind of like this apex of Indian historical power. And if you're a king yourself or a ruler family yourself, you're going to want to try to find some way to make yourself look like you're the stuff. And so one of the things that Krishna Raja pretty clearly does is he starts doing the Gupta kind of thing, and he's going to sort of style some of his art that he has created after the Gupta stuff. There's definitely going to be a lot of coinage that looks very, very similar to some of the previous Gupta kings. There's going to be temples that are built roughly in a style that has some Gupta influence. So he's pretty clearly going to be calling back to the Gupta and saying, look, I am now the king. I'm doing the thing like they're doing the thing, or like they did the thing. They were really powerful. That makes me really powerful, right? This sort of visual propaganda kind of stuff going on here. We also know that he is a big devotee of Shiva specifically, because there's a lot of documentation about doing sacrifices of Shiva or building temples to Shiva. So there we go. Krishna Raja, if not the first king of the Kalachuri, definitely the first big king of the Kalachuri. All right, we have one more group, and then we shall wrap it up for the night. Malkari. The noble paths need to be wider. The narrower it is, the lost we get. Sorry, philosophy. Yeah. I hear you, philosophy majors. I didn't actually do philosophy as a major, but I took philosophy in college, and I really enjoyed it. And, of course, one of our stream friends is Aristotle. Let me give him a shout out. I don't think he's in the chat. Or he might be lurking. But if you don't already follow that guy, Aristotle, go give him a follow. He's a philosophy guy that does, and he's like actually a philosophy instructor, does morals and ethics and all kinds of stuff like that in college at a university. So He's a legit dude. Go give him a follow. His streams are amazing. I hang out there as much as I can. Um, cool dude. All right. What's up with the Makaris? Well, let's look at them. Boom. Here we go. There's their territory. And they have the all-important city of Pataliputra. Now, if you haven't been to previous India streams, you don't know how big of a deal that city is. But this is one of the premier big cities in northern India. It is a big city that goes all the way back to the BC era with big empires like the Maurya. Big groups like the Guptas, of course, are going to be in Pataliputra. This is a big old deal. Keeping up with the Makaris, yeah. You got to keep up with them because they're moving on up. And Pataliputra is a big city, and the fact that they are able to control that gives them a lot of prestige. A lot of prestige. Another big city, like right up in here, is called Madras, but that's Friday stream. Yep. You know him. He's amazing, like history, philosophy, sociology, anthropology, political science. Oh yeah. So you're already aware of the old Eris. That's cool. He's a good streamer. What up, David? You just can't get enough of what? Easter candy? I still got a lot stashed in the box over here. Enough streaming. Well, I didn't stream last night. So last night was my anniversary, and Brittany and I went out and had some dinner, and then drove around town a little bit and got a milkshake. So we just pushed to tonight. Chocolate pudding. You had art night and forgot I didn't stream. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so everybody go follow David Peterson, who is another great streamer, good friend, great artist, and streams on Mondays and Mondays and Wednesdays usually, and then the first Friday of every month. So go give David a follow. Let's go! Are you streaming now? Are you actually streaming now and you're in my chat? Peter Davidson? Okay, so I know sometimes you do that thing where like you see somebody else streaming and you're like, I'm going to go talk with their chat on the stream. You're trying to Pied Piper everybody away. Well, I'm going to have to take a bit of offense on behalf of my very good group because they aren't rats. And that's not cool. So, I mean, sci-fi has a rat, and sci-fi is probably part rat, but that's okay because I would probably, I don't know what I'm going to go at. Anyway, words, things, they are children. They're not children. Like Tuna's like, shut up, dude. I like flute. I like a good flute. Yes, KP with as much pomposity as possible actually does smoke a pipe every now and then. It was a metaphor. All right, so who are these folks? Who are the Makaris? Well, they're going to be they were at one time part of the Gupta Empire. And when the Gupta Empire falls apart, they're going to sort of just hold on to the territory that they were sort of ruling over as subordinates of the larger Gupta Empire. And they're actually going to have some ties back to the people that are claiming to be, quote, the later Guptas. Right? These people that are going to say, like, no, the Gupta Empire is still alive and still powerful. And they're like, no, dude, you're not even there yet. So just maybe, like, take a day off or something and, like, have a woosah moment and come to the realization that you're not great kings anymore. But the Makaris are going to have some contact with those old people. Oh, you're talking about musically, as in you can play the bagpipes. Yeah, I kind of forget about that sometimes. I don't know why I forget about that, because it's hard to forget. Um, Maybe it's because I haven't heard you play the bagpipes in a long time. Maybe that's it. Anyway, so when the big invasion of the Huns shows up, you'll remember earlier in the stream, if you were with us, I said that the Huns had invaded down into India and had caused a lot of trouble in the Gupta Empire, and that they had stopped more or less right around here. There's a reason for that. And the reason was the Makari, because the Makari apparently defeated the Huns' invasion. And you're like, okay, cool. So how did they do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we have this really cool inscription here. This is called the Afsad inscription. And this is a big stone. And you can see here how, it's all the fun carving stuff. But in this particular inscription, it tells the story of how the Makari defeated the Huns. And it's a great story. I actually do know what this says. Not like word for word, but I can summarize it for you. It basically goes like this. The Huns invaded India, and everyone was terrified. And the Huns destroyed all of the Gupta armies until they ran into the Makari. And what did they do? Well, the Makaris apparently, and this is going to be kind of cool, trampled them with elephants. Because it turns out that horses are smaller than elephants, and elephants can squish them. And apparently the way that the Makaris defeated the Huns was, we're going to get a bunch of elephants, and we're going to mass them up, and we're just going to squash you. And then the Huns were like, oh no, don't squish us. And then they got squished. LOL, get wrecked, Huns. Yeah. The Makari came at them with the war elephants. And it didn't go the same way that the Battle of the Planar Fields went. We'll just leave it at that, right? So, yeah, they wrecked the Huns. What else do we know about them other than that they wrecked the Huns? Well, we know that they are, their kings are very much Hindu. We know that they have a very big population, especially in these big cities. Again, like especially the city of Pataliputra was a really, really big city. So they have a very urban ruling elite. They're going to have a kind of a burgeoning middle class almost, with a lot of skilled laborers. And even though they are mostly Hindu and most of the population is Hindu, there is going to be kind of a substrata of Buddhism inside of the Makari kingdom. The rulers were always Hindu, and they liked to project their Hindu-ness, right? But there weren't any laws that openly forbade Buddhists, and they didn't go after the Buddhists like with any sort of like organized persecution or anything like that. But we know that they had a very, very strong central government that was modeled off of the Guptas, because again, they sort of existed because the Guptas fell apart, and that they had a really big army. Death, right? We'll just yell death at the elephants. But those weren't elephants. Those were olifants, right? Big as a house and gray as a mouth. Gray as a mouse. And now we're just all yelling death like the Rohirrim. My favorite passage of any fiction ever that I've ever read comes from that particular battle in Return of the King. You love Hindu and Buddhist faiths. They are amazing, especially Buddhism is amazing. Radical, we have covered both of those in previous streams. So you can go back in the VODs and watch those if you... actually, I think one of the only streams that I have lost because I forgot to copy over the VOD was the Hinduism stream. But I know that we've done Buddhism, There's also a Jainism stream that you might particularly like. I don't know if you're familiar with Jainism, but it's a development that sort of comes out of the same traditions as Hinduism. So we've done. I know that there's a Buddhism stream and a Jainism stream that you can still go see. And there have been multiple India streams in the past where we've talked about Hinduism and stuff like that. So even though I lost the VOD for that one, you can still check it out. So, but that brings us to an end for my particular portion of the night. I have basically said everything that I'm going to say. Coming up, Tarzanism. The next big religion that we'll talk about comes out of this area. And I actually wondered if I should do it in this phase, but I think I'm going to wait until next phase and we'll do a larger origin of Islam and then Islamic expansion back to like week to week stream. So we'll do 1 week that's the origin of Islam and Muhammad and the formation of Islam as a religion, and then the next week we'll do early Islamic expansion in the 600s. So that'll be next phase. I could do origins of Islam in this phase. It just doesn't work as well in sequence. So I think we'll do that one next phase. All right. We're at that point of the stream where I'd be happy to take questions if anybody had any. If anybody wants to redeem any channel points or anything like that, now would be a great time to do so. Fun fact, the people of India don't like the Flintstones, but the people of Abu Dhabi do. Yeah. 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 Have I ever read Name of the Rose? I have not. I've read Name of the Wind and thought it was okay, but then I've heard that the second book sucks, so I didn't read it. Also, there was no third book, and after I found out at the end of the first book that there was supposed to be a trilogy, I decided it was not getting any more of my time. So, Rothfuss, if you're listening, I'll read the second book when you publish the third book, bud. You read Name of the Rose pretty recently. It was pretty good. I know Rothfuss actually did something on his Twitch stream recently where he like maybe read the prologue of some or something of it, or maybe the first chapter. I don't know. I will read the second book when the third book comes out and the trilogy is officially done. I'm not getting George R.R. Martin into another series. It's not going to happen. I've been hurt before. Right? Oh, if you wanna, you can see all my pins and stuff here. I've been planning my Turkey trip, and you can see all of the potential places that I could be going. It's just a few potential places, right? Rank 3 things: Secret Squirrel, the Jetsons, or the Flintstones. Shh, Secret Squirrel. Okay, let's see. Man, that's a tough one. Oh, gosh, so Flintstones is probably first. I really like the Flintstones. When I was a kid, I was just fascinated by dinosaurs. Just absolutely fascinated by dinosaurs. And I liked both the Jetsons and the Secret Squirrel, but I don't know which one of those I liked the most. Man. Probably Flintstones, Secret Squirrel, Jetsons. I'm going to have to just call that one. And that's really weird because I liked the Jetsons a lot. I liked the futuristic sci-fi, spacey stuff like that. It just, I don't know, man. I like Secret Squirrel. All right, and the opinion hat has been summoned. The opinion hat. Dun 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 dun. When we summon the opinion hat, I put on the opinion hat. Doesn't it make me just look opinionated? And then I give you my opinion. Favorite sports comedy movie? This is a question that many people might deliberate on, but I do not have to deliberate because by leaps and bounds, my favorite sports comedy movie is Dodgeball, A True Underdog's Tale. And let me tell you why. It's got all of the good stuff. It's got one-liners. It's got physical humor. It's got really, really stupid stuff that shouldn't actually make sense, but is somehow perfectly balanced. It's got a bunch of actors having what is clearly one of the best times that they've ever had on the sports movie, or on the set of a movie. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. No other sports movie has ever made as much of an impact into my daily reference catalog as Dodgeball. If you have not seen Dodgeball, you should totally go watch it. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I can quote that entire movie. It is absolutely hilarious stuff. Now, there are plenty of other good sports comedy movies. You've got, I see somebody mentioning The Replacements. The Replacements is great. Keanu Reeves is a good-looking dude, right? I love the fact that there's that good, emotional, happy moment at the end, right? Where it's like, oh, fuzzies. But it doesn't have the one-liners. Dude, Dodgeball has so many freaking one-liners, right? You can't get past it. Like, it is ultimately quotable. I would challenge anybody right now to pick more than 2 lines that they know from The Replacements, right? I see Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore is amazing. It's probably in the top 5 for me. I love Happy Gilmore. The only thing, okay, so I say The Price is Wrong, right? You know, like The Price is Wrong, curse word. I say that one, and then sometimes if things get really, really crazy, I'll go Doing the Bull Dance, Feeling the Flow. But other than that, I don't find it quotable. Not mixed together, right? Right? I love that movie, dude. It's such. Strange Brew counts as a hockey movie. The Goon, if you want a good hockey movie, I don't know if The Goon was intended to be as funny as it is. I think that they meant to have some level of humor in a movie that was also kind of dark, but like The Goon is pretty good. And Sean William Scott actually does a pretty impressive job in that movie. I don't know if you've ever seen The Goon. It's still not Dodgeball. Dodgeball is like hands down the best sports comedy movie. There can be no other, and I'll fight you on that. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Another one, like Pepper's lines are great. Pepper needs new shorts. Usually you pay double for that kind of action, Cotton. There are just so many great movie lines in that. Does Big Lebowski count as a sports comedy movie because it's got bowling in it? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It's kind of like a sports movie in the same way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but I'll give it credit. So there we go. There's the opinion hat for you. If you didn't like it, you don't have to believe it. A League of Their Own, it's pretty good. I like A League of Their Own. I think that there were a lot of good performances in the movie. I like Gina Davis's role quite a bit. I think Madonna did a pretty good job. I don't know if that was her first acting role. Even if it wasn't, I mean, she did a pretty good job in it, so I'm pretty happy. So there we go. Waterboy is good stuff. I like Waterboy too. I loved your work in Wizard of Oz. Right? Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Yeah, I know. We can all have that argument. It takes place at a Christmas party. There we go. All right. Anybody else got any point redemptions or questions or topics to talk about or anything like that? I'm going to look around on the Twitch and see who is alive that we might go do a raid on. Who is we gonna raid? Get on with it. Standard question book. It's more Christmassy than It's a Wonderful Life. I'll give you that. You're going to recommend a prop maker, but he darted off. Ah, I see. All right. This is the standard question book and home study outlines. Dun, 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 dun. It's a book. It's got a lot of questions in it. We don't have the answers because we don't have the textbook that it goes along with. So it's literally just a book full of questions with page references that we don't have anything to actually reference. So we find a page. Let's do something. We did something from the middle. Let's do like a third of the way through. What about like you? No, you. No, you. Okay, this is it. This is the great page here. And we just open up, and we did something on this side last time, so let's do something on this side. And we'll just like scroll down to you. What are you? And then if I know the answer, I'll look it up. And if I don't, we'll see this. Okay, this is pretty easy. Describe the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party. Oh, well, that's pretty basic. We're in the Revolutionary period of history, apparently. Describe the Boston Massacre. Okay, here's what happened. It was a cold winter's night, and a whole bunch of Bostonians were getting drunk in taverns. And this is the period of time where the British had sent over a whole lot of soldiers basically to enforce taxation. You know? Because there was that whole 7 Years' War thing, and it got kind of out of hand, and the British were in a lot of debt, and they started taxing the colonies, and the colonies were like, we don't want to be taxed. And they were like, you will be taxed. And then they're like, we're going to send soldiers over, and there's quartering acts and all this crazy stuff. So there are soldiers hanging around in Boston, and there are Bostonians getting drunk. And some kids decided, we're going to throw some rocks at these soldiers. And so they start throwing rocks at the soldiers, and the soldiers are like, away, you rapscallions! And tried to shoo off the kids. Well, they make a bit of a disturbance, and out from some of these bars pour a bunch of Bostonians, and they see armed British soldiers accosting young American children. And then they're like, do scallions rap often? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard a scallion rap. Huh. I don't even know what they would do. Anyway, so the British soldiers, they resort to the, you bunch of drunk people, go back into the bar. And they're like, banana. And then things escalated, and some people started trying to basically get all up in the faces of the British soldiers, and they were like, leave us alone, we are armed, we will shoot you. And then they did. And of course, this is the Boston Massacre, where they shot a lot of people, including a guy named Crispus Attucks, who was sort of held up as the protector of Boston. And then things go really, really awry, and the newspapers in the American colonies blow the whole thing into some sort of gigantic issue. And it was a big deal. I'm not trying to say that it wasn't, but oh, they used this as a rallying cry. And then the British come down harder on them. And then there's a whole bunch of issues where the trades situation in India is not going as well as possible. And India was not making as much money, and some of the money that they were supposed to be making was for the Chancellor of the Exchequer, a guy that was dude named Charles Townshend, who was kind of a jerk and did not particularly like the fact that he was losing money from his joint stock in the big tea companies. And so he decided, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send my ships, because I'm the Chancellor of the Exchequer of Parliament in England, we're going to send these to the Americas. And we're going to tell them if they want tea, they have to buy the tea off of our ships. They can't buy it from anywhere else. And then the Bostonians, who are already hacked off because of the whole, angry shooting incident that was the Boston Massacre, how Irish was Boston at that time? It wasn't. That really didn't start happening until much later in the 1800s. It was a good old-fashioned, proper British colonies town at that point. They're going to get a lot of immigrants in the early 1800s and especially the mid 1800s from Ireland. A lot of the British nobility that were trying to take over land, especially in places like Northern Ireland, which we talked about earlier this week, are going to pay for a lot of their tenants who couldn't basically make their rents to go to places like Canada or places like Australia, or send them to America because, why not? So that's where the Bostonian Irish stuff comes from. Anyway, Bostonians are grumpy because of Boston's not Irish heritage. Oh, but they claim it. Anyway, the Bostonians get angry that they're told that they must buy this tea and they must buy it at inflated prices, and they're like, how about we just go throw it all into the bay here, Boston Harbor. And so they dress up like Native Americans and they sneak their way on board of the ships and they break open all of the tea crates and they dump it onto Boston Harbor. And this costs a lot of money and is specifically kind of thumbs in the eye to Charles Townshend, who was a jerk and is passing a lot of taxes against them that they didn't like anyway. Look up Townshend Acts if you want to know more. It's a big collection of taxes on things like glass and ink and sugar, things like that. Things that you would use sort of every day. Lots of nasty taxes. So there's your standard question book of the day. Let's see who he's going to go raid. Unless we have more questions or stuff like that. We can kind of keep going here, but I'm going to go see who is live. I think I see where we're going to go. I see where we're going to go. Forever making Atlantic weather a storm in a teacup. Ha, 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 ha. Somebody asked me earlier if I had seen anything about The Northman. I've seen the trailer for The Northman. I'm interested in actually seeing the movie eventually. I don't know if I'm going to go see it in theaters. I don't know if I'm necessarily that excited. But it's got a lot of really good actors in it. So... I missed something here. He's good, knowledgeable, and informative. Is this Astro Canuck? Random trivia question about It's a Wonderful Life. What mental health issue did Jimmy Stewart have during the filming of It's a Wonderful Life? Is it depression? Trivia answer. PTSD. Jimmy Stewart was in active duty in the Air Force. He had just returned from World War II. Did not know that. But that makes sense. Have I been watching Moon Knight? The archaeology is laughable. Okay. I have not been watching Moon Knight. Let me tell you why I have not been watching Moon Knight. I have not been watching Moon Knight because Moon Knight cannot be properly done in PG-13. Moon Knight has never been a character that could have been handled properly in a PG-13 setting. Moon Knight needs to be able to cuss. Moon Knight needs to be able to be very, very violent. Moon Knight needs to be able to be super drunk and depressive and smoke cigarettes all the time. He needs to be able to be an incredible womanizer and do really, really like horrible things to people. Also, I don't pay money for Disney. I've watched Disney shows, and you'll use your imagination on that. But yeah, I'm not going to give them money. Did I see The Green Knight? No. And I was interested in watching The Green Knight. My my beef with The Green Knight was that everybody was going to say that it was amazing. Everybody was like, it's going to be the best thing ever. And then it came out and you heard nothing about it. So what this leads me to believe is it's almost certainly going to be a visually stunning movie that has amazing cinematography, really good set dressing, really good costuming, and a really, really, really friggin' slow story. And I already know the story of the Green Knight, so it's not like there's going to be any surprise twist endings. And I just haven't had enough time to decide I'm going to watch a 3-hour movie that's just really pretty. So I will eventually watch The Green Knight. I like Dev Patel. I've liked basically everything that I've ever seen him in. So I'm not against it. I'm going to probably wait until I'm really bored. Why are we boycotting Disney? Because they're giant and evil, and they do things to hurt people I care for. You think you'd recommend Northman as a movie? Actions, Viking stuff, cool fights, game of Natlicker. It was definitely a cool cinema experience, but also cool insight into regular life stuff. Cool. All I heard after it came out was negative, other than from a few diehard fans who loved it. Green Knight is visually stunning and slow, but you liked it. Okay, see that kind of, yeah. But it's an Eggers movie, so it's strange at parts, and you're a fan of Eggers, especially from a cinematic viewpoint. Where would you draw the line when it comes to historical accuracy versus entertainment? I can usually suspend the disbelief. I can usually go, it's a movie. And then I'll watch the movie, and afterwards I'll go, that horrible. That history was horrible. But, I mean, stuff like Knight's Tale, right? A Knight's Tale is horrible history. Horrible, horrible history. But I love that movie, and I would watch Knight's Tale tonight. Like, if you came over and were like, hey, let's watch Knight's Tale, I'd be like, let's put it in. I've got the DVD. Let's go load it up. So, I mean, I can suspend that disbelief if I need to. It has to be really bad history for me to go, I just can't watch this. I just saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it was pretty great. He draws the line at A Knight's Tale. I love A Knight's Tale. I really want to see that. He will draw the line at the Fate series. Yeah, I'm not watching. We turned Gilgamesh into a big boobed anime girl. No. Bro, Shane, we should watch A Knight's Tale. We should totally do that. Once it gets to streaming, watch it. I will. It probably has to do with how serious they take it. So like I watched The Last Duel, and that's based on actual history, and they did a really good job of it. The set was done very, very well. The armor and costuming was done really well. The movie was eh. If you've ever seen Rashomon, and you ever wondered, I wonder what would happen if Rashomon was made by Ridley Scott and set in medieval France. Go watch The Last Duel, and your answer will be given to you. Fate didn't turn Gilgamesh into a big boob anime girl. Nero was a giant boob anime girl. Okay, yeah, whatever. Fate turned Gilgamesh into a megalomaniac and a jerk. Okay, yeah, I don't care. Your favorite movie at the moment is The Lighthouse, another Eggers movie. The Lighthouse is an anime movie. And I will fight anyone that has a different opinion. It starts off very slow, you don't really know what's going on, and then before you know it, everybody's killing everybody and there's tentacles everywhere. I did not care for The Lighthouse. Story-wise, it's not great, but you love the acting, the atmosphere, and everything weird. It is definitely weird, and a lot of it is weird for the sake of being weird, and they play it off as plot. I don't like it when movies try to be serious about getting me to take silly stuff as serious. Like, oh no, you're supposed to take this as serious, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, no, but for real, like no. I couldn't get into it. It was just like the slowness. Like, I don't have a problem with Robert Pattinson. I don't have a problem with Willem Dafoe. They're both great actors, and they've been in great movies that I really enjoy. I couldn't get into The Lighthouse, and it just sat there forever, and I got really bored, and I think I dozed off a little bit at the end because when I woke up there were just tentacles everywhere, and I was like, I don't even care. So I'm not like, you can love it. Like there are lots of things that people love that I don't like, and I'm not trying to tell you that you don't have to like it. You totally get to do your thing. It's just not my world. All right, I could talk about movies for the rest of the night. But let us go do a raid. And we are going to go raid friend of the channel and friend who pops in occasionally. And I hit the wrong button and closed all of my windows like a dum-dum. Idiot. Creator dashboard. Where am I? The brain. Where is my brain? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Great. Now I'm going to have that stuck in my head for the rest of time. Way out in the water. See it swimming. All right. Any last minute questions, point redemptions, things like that? Anybody want to do anything? Got any ideas? Alrighty. Well, I guess I need to pause for a little bit. There are much worse songs to have stuck in your head. Yeah, I like the Pixies. I do quite like the Pixies. Alright, anyway, we're going to go do a raid, and because we are streaming on Friday, we're going to get to raid people that we don't normally get to raid. And we're going to go raid my buddy, Autumn. Autumn Rain Turkel, who is a art streamer. He's a great dude. His sense of humor is very akin to my own. That being slightly off-kilter and very much leading towards the entendre. Autumn's a great dude. He's been a big supporter of the stream. And we don't ever get to raid him because he streams on Friday and I don't normally stream on Friday. So we're totally going to go see Autumn. He's a great dude. We're going to do our battle cry when we get there, which is adventure, just like Aristotle just shared in the chat there. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I'm going to try to stream over the weekend. We got to put decals on a model that I've been staring at for about a month and haven't done anything with. We need to start a new model and get to work on that. So I'm going to try to stream over the weekend. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. We will be back next week, and we'll be talking about Persia. One of my favorites. Love Persia during this time. I'm very excited about next week. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.